Let me tell you that I have made every mistake possible along the way. And because of that, I have grown and learned.
All right. So I am so excited to have you on today, Tammy. I feel like I've known you for years. You must have been at the very first RESACON I ever attended, which is almost 10 years ago.
Wow. And do you know what? That's about right. Yeah, I know I
Yeah.
got my little 10-year pin last year. I was like, oh my gosh, has it been that long already?
Time flies, man.
It does. It
So
does.
when did you start your staging business?
So I started in 2006. I had been decorating for a little while before that. I was doing commercial decorating as an assistant to somebody before that. 2006 is actually when I started staging. That would be with Center Stage Decorating, rather, with a different company before that.
So how did you discover staging? I know it's design adjacent, but I actually got into the industry in 2005. And I remember what it was like back then. I was in California where, it was one of the hot spots that it first bloomed. And even there, up until probably 5 years ago, when I said the word staging, people would look at me and they'd be like, really? What are you talking about? What is this thing called staging?
Yeah, that's so true. With our company name, even Center Stage, we found that we would get phone calls to say, so are you guys in the film industry? And so, yeah, staging was not a thing. I think just a few people were really making a business of it. And it's interesting, I had staged my own home, not knowing that that's what it was called. We were trying to make it look nice, get everything perfect before, moving somewhere else. And so, yeah, it just didn't really have a title. So staging, to answer your question, how I got into that was I had moved from big city of Vancouver to a smaller population, 150,000, where I had a company logo on my car. And I was approached twice in 1 month by real estate agents asking if I did home staging. And I knew what it was. And I was, of course I do. Yes, absolutely I do. No, I didn't. So that was sort of my, hey, there's got to be a market for this. And I specifically remember that realtor coming up to me and saying, well, okay, that's fantastic. I have a client and they definitely need some staging, and went back to my house and kind of did some homework and tried to find out if there were furniture rental companies in town. And of course there were not. And I remember having to call that realtor back and saying, you know what? No, I'm sorry. I can't help you with this project, but rest assured, I will be able to soon. And that's when I started to build my company. And I contacted him when I was ready and had some furniture, and there it went. He was the start of my business. He helped me so much. And basically sent me so many more referrals. So it's amazing. It only takes one person to help you build a business.
That is so true, especially in the early days. If you get a really good client that's loyal and you guys click, you really do. If you get especially like a top producing agent. So how did you get the furniture if there was no rental companies? Did you go out and just like source locally? What was your plan of action for that?
It's a great question, Felicia. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I remember conversations. So I would go out and I would buy whatever I could afford. Three-legged sofa, a sofa with a hole in it, that you could throw a lovely throw blanket over and hide, just because it was inexpensive. And, started to just build a bit of inventory, take care of my shopping compulsion, putting things in the garage. I remember the first job that I did, I thought I had everything. And of course, you're always missing those few things. And my husband comes home that evening and he's like, where's our clock?
Things the clock.
Right? It's like our clock was gone. Whatever I could steal from my own house to make something look good, whatever I could get in the garage, whatever I could buy on sale. And I think that's how it all started. And definitely from my own garage is where I started storing things.
So back then, there wasn't even Facebook Marketplace, really. So were you getting things off like Craigslist, garage sales? When you said you found a three-legged couch, it sounds like it's probably one of those situations.
You know what? There was this store, they don't even exist anymore, and it's called United Furniture. And what they had was they sold off things that other furniture stores couldn't sell because they were defective or damaged or needed some type of a repair. So that was the probably main place that I bought a lot of my things. HomeSense opened up really close, which is your home goods.
Yes.
Opened up very soon after. And of course, that's where I got all my accessories and things. But furniture, yeah, like I said, the amount of times I've stolen things from my own personal house to make a project, alive would be too many to count. Yeah. And I think it was soon after that I roped my husband, and he was always on the other end of the sofa, the other end of everything that we had. And then I would drag, anybody who would help me, for free at that time into projects. So yeah. So basically from there, it's kind of nice. You start off just trying to buy things that are inexpensive, but then you realize you can't build a brand off of that.
Exactly.
So you eventually have to update and change and get rid of the things that aren't quite working anymore. And of course, that's a process. And I honestly think it was at year 5 of struggling through building a staging business that my husband said, you need to start making money or we're shutting this down. We're not doing this for your fun anymore. And I was like, oh yeah, right. Okay. And that's when I started increasing my pricing and doing a little less for more money and, and just evolving. And honestly, I think it was at year 5 that I really started to make money, started to buy newer, nicer inventory, build up a rapport with amazing, realtors that I'd been working with who were super excited to have me keep coming back. And it's amazing how many people can help you along the way to get to where you need. Maybe not everybody's as lucky as I was to have a husband who would be on the other end of the sofa. That definitely helped. And the fact that he worked for free was a really big deal,
Definitely. Nothing says I love you like come and help me carry furniture. I mean, nobody loves to move, let alone move your stuff or somebody else's stuff.
Gosh.
I mean, yeah, that's a big ask.
Yeah. You can lose a lot of friends that way, for sure.
You definitely can. They love you for better or worse, I guess.
Exactly.
So 5 years in sounds about right to start being profitable. Before you were being profitable, were you paying yourself at all?
I was taking all of the income that I was earning from these staging projects and I was buying more inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So no.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I took anything out of the company for a few years. I would take it out where I could, but in all honesty, no, super disciplined on building the business. So everything went into inventory. Everything went into systems and office management and, hiring a bookkeeper to kind of help me get through. So kind of, everything goes back to the business. And I think at year 5 is really and truly when I started to make money, and year 6 made a little more, and year 7 more and more. And, basically I've always told people if you can last, I would say it's easier now. It's easier now to get started because there's so many systems available. When I started, there was no help. There was no bank that would loan me money. Goodness, no, right? Not with a self-employed decorator who is not making or showing any income. There was no help.
In an industry that they're looking at you like, what do you do? Yeah.
Yeah. They
and
don't
on
even
top
know.
of that, there wasn't really a huge community. There was a growing community, but it's nothing like it was today. And people
Agreed.
definitely weren't as open, I don't think, back then as they are today. So you didn't have to... Back then, you had to literally learn everything as you went, I feel like.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's hard. It was an industry that didn't really exist yet. It was something that was up and coming. You had to teach and educate. And that's what I did. I don't know, it's an odd thing. I love getting in front of people and talking a story. It's fun for me, like just educating, teaching someone about what we do. I find that kind of exhilarating. I don't know.
So that
very
part
odd.
never scares you.
No, there's always nerves.
Yeah.
But I like it. You know what I mean? It's just something, and as long as it comes from a teaching perspective, and as long as, I've never been the techie, here, so if I needed that, I would always bring someone with me who was good at that sort of thing. I know my strengths, right? And that's not one of them. You're a different story. You're a full techie girl over there.
I guess it's just the age that we were born into. We got lucky.
Yeah.
We grew up in a time when we didn't have the cell phones and the computer and the
Yes.
internet, and then we learned about it. So we had the best of both worlds, I'll say.
Agreed.
I didn't have my face on my phone my whole childhood, and I appreciate that.
That's exactly, absolutely. But, education is where I think I've made the most contacts for new business. I would go to Benjamin Moore and ask them if I could put on a presentation for free, where I could teach
Smart.
people about the magic of color and talk a little bit about staging and the importance of it. I would go to a local furniture store and ask them if I could come and put on a presentation about how to put a room together. And by the way, I do staging. And, and then, gosh, who else would, just anybody who would let me talk. It was really hard to get in with a real estate agent with a real estate company. But if you have a real estate agent who knows and loves what you do, they can get you in the door. So I would go to REMAX or any of those companies and go and do a presentation, show them some before and after photos, tell them what we're about. And so if you can get out there, get in front of people, selling is hard. So you kind of have to make it like, I'm giving you this for free. Oh, and by the way, we do this, right?
Exactly.
So, but if you're just going to say, this is what I do, you need to hire me, I think people have a harder time with that.
Did you ever do any home shows early on, or from the beginning, did you know that you wanted to target agents?
Great question. I definitely did home shows. I did them every single year. And then I would ask them if I could do one of their stage presentations. And you know what? It was free. They needed people to get up there and do free talks to add that extra service to the home show, right? So I would get up there, I'd have a speaker in front of me, I'd show some of our before and afters of things we do and why you do them and how you add color and, and then people would always come up to me at the end of it all and ask me more questions. And that was an opportunity to give out a card. So no, home shows were definitely, I hated doing them for the amount of prep that it would take to get there. And we would set up a booth of furniture and staging products and stuff. So it was so much work. And it was your entire weekend, but I highly recommend it to anybody starting out their business. It's a great way to get out there and provide your information.
For a few years, I worked at Budget Blinds. I'm not sure if that's a franchise that y'all have
it
over
is.
there.
It
Okay.
is.
That's actually where I met my husband. And we would do the home shows, but we did them like 3 times a year. And I'm with you on the setup. Everybody would dread the setup. And we did like a prep the day before to make sure everything was still in good condition. But I will say the experience of working those and meeting the people, I mean, there's nothing like it unless you're going to go and knock on people's doors. Those people at the home shows are there for a reason. I mean, who's going to spend their weekend visiting a home show unless they're looking for a service provider or something to inspire them? So I love the idea of teaching something. How many times would you say that you pitched yourself to teach something anywhere and got turned down? Was that something that you had to learn how to overcome? Or were you lucky enough that every time you came up with an idea, the person on the other end said, yeah, let's have you in?
I'd say that nobody flat out ever turned me down, but they would say in the nicest way possible, you know what? We'll think about that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, great, keep thinking, absolutely. So it's not that hard. No one's going to be like, oh my gosh, I really don't want you here. Like, do you know what I mean? I think everybody, every business is looking for ways to market themselves. They want you to have an event in their store where people might come to see something different. It's a win-win on both sides. I think it's rare that I got turned down.
What other marketing techniques or campaigns in the early days do you remember that were really successful and you did over again, whether that be postcards or cold calling, email campaigns? What things worked for you over the years?
Great question.
And how has that changed today?
Really good question. I'm going to start with what didn't work. Is that okay?
Heck yeah.
I feel like advertising at the golf course on their little cards, waste of money. Sending out postcards in the mail, not a single call for that. For me, it's about creating personal relationships, going to networking events where everybody there is allowed to promote their business without being, what's the word? I don't know, for fear of looking bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like speed dating. When you're going to these business networking events, they're going to tell you what they do. You're going to tell them what you do. And it's either going to work or it's not. And then you move on to the next person, right? It's so funny. I've never speed dated, but it's how I imagine it would be. So for me, those networking events, everybody's there for the same reason. They want to help you, but they want you to help them. So it's sort of an exchange, and they might not need your service, but they might have an aunt or an uncle or cousin who's selling their house who they'll mention it to.
Absolutely.
And so I don't think that there is such a thing as a wasted conversation with anybody. So yeah, the networking events were huge. The home shows were huge. Anything that is on paper, we're a visual business. So people need to walk in and be wowed by something you do in order to want to use you again. So what we do now that we find that works really well is we had these signboards that are the same place that, the take your shoe off,
Yes.
take your shoes off sign,
Yep.
like that type of a signboard. It can sit, it's very nice to look at. It can sit on a tray on the kitchen counter with your QR code on it that says this was proudly staged by Center Stage. We get a lot of business by people walking into our homes and seeing our Center Stage QR code. And if they don't know how a QR code works, they still see the sign that says this is staged by Center Stage.
Exactly. I was going to ask about that because I know some stagers say it's like taboo to put that there because then it's a red flag to them that it's staged and you don't want to create the impression that this is all make believe. But I'm on the camp with you. Like, I think nowadays, most of us know when we walk into a truly staged homes, maybe not an occupied like consult situation, but a fully vacant situation, like this isn't how these people live. And if so, good for them.
Yeah.
But you go to enough open houses and you start to get the picture, in my opinion. But what have you come across any agents that felt like, no, I don't want that, or no? Good. I'm glad to hear
and
that.
It has to be pretty. It can't be. You know what I mean? Like ours are straight black with a little bit of white writing, nothing too, it's tucked away on a little tray with a, bottle of wine and a couple of wine glasses or whatever it is that we do. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it can't be billboards around the house. You know what I mean?
Smart.
Or it can't be too cheeky and leaving business cards on a bed. No, you know what I mean? So, but a QR code is tidy. It's neat. It's not a pile of things. And no one has ever given us a hard time about that.
And two questions about this, because I actually really love this topic. One, is your QR code tracking? And maybe this is my tech brain here, but there's QR code services you can sign up for that are super low cost. So you could track what days you're getting the most scans on it, from what properties, I just think that would kind of be interesting for you to
absolutely. We've never
which one of your properties bring in the most.
That's brilliant. And no, we don't track it. We do have our office manager ask every single person who calls us how they've heard about us.
Are you using the Canva to create the QR code then?
You know what? I go Veronica, and then Veronica does that.
Smart. So she's probably using Canva, and Canva does do some slight analytics. So maybe you should, if that is the case, have her log in, and it might actually tell you how many people have scanned it since you started it. That would be
interesting.
Just a fun little KPI for your team to keep track of.
I love it. I love it. That's a great idea. You know what? It is. It's just It's hard getting creative. I find that the other one thing that never works for us is picking up the phone and going, hey, so we've even tried marketing where we've looked online and found a whole bunch of vacant homes and then went, hey, Joe, we see that your property's vacant. That works maybe 5% of the time. Mm. It's not bad. It's potential.
Better than nothing. Yeah. If you have the time.
Realtors, yeah, exactly. But realtors get so many emails and so many people trying to sell themselves that I feel like they just delete, right? So it has to be something personal.
What about reaching out directly to the homeowner? Like, you have their address. Did you ever try that? Because I know some stagers will do that as well. I don't know how much more effective that is, but.
Well, from the beginning of time, I think that probably would have been a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I think now we're busy enough that we don't need to do that. Yeah. It's a blessing for sure. Mm-hmm. We had an 8-year stint where we didn't advertise and we were busy enough. 8 years. We didn't spend a nickel on advertising other than maybe a little bit of website maintenance.
That is insane. 8 years. What period
busy.
Was this?
I would say literally up until about 2020 and before. Yeah, we were busy enough. We never had to chase a single thing. So I would say then, hate to use the after COVID, kind of process where things just skyrocketed. We had so much business, we couldn't handle it, after that little lull in time. And so then all of a sudden a wall hit. This is the first year that we've actually spent money on advertising in a really long time. So, and this year we went out and got the big billboard on the side of the highway. And
I've always been wondering, do stagers ever do this? Because I think a billboard is so cool. And I see agents doing them all the time and having the cool picture of you over the billboard.
Yeah,
and I've never
fun.
seen a stager post a photo. So you should post a photo of yours or send it to me.
Well, I definitely would not put my face on the billboard. I am not that brave. However, we just did a pretty room, simple words, and all it says is center stage home staging, sell your house for more money, less time, period.
Smart.
We don't even put a phone number on there or anything. And that's strictly because people who are driving by aren't writing down your phone number. It's that recognition, selling your house. Okay. So that's what we've done.
How long did you do that? And how much was the investment to do something like that?
So great question. It's not cheap. The initial investment for us to get the board created and to get it up there was probably about $1,500. Not terrible. I think it might have been $1,600. Then we pay $100. That's $100. That would be awesome. $1,000 a month to keep that board up there.
Okay.
So huge investment.
Yeah.
But we get all the time, saw your billboard. And it's just repetition. Those people drive by it every single day. Now, do I think you should spend that money for more than a year? No. I think after a year, pull that board down. You have notified anybody who might want to know that
and nobody's looking at it after that point of time. It becomes like, oh, that's that billboard that's been up there forever.
That's it. I would even say 6 months, honestly, is plenty of time to do that. However, we were able to get it for less money per month if we did it for a year than if you locked in for 6 months, kind of thing. So that was their enticement. And I thought, you know what, we'll give this a try. And if it works great, we'll extend. But at this point, I feel like we've had enough people tell us that they've heard about us from our billboard to cover the cost of the billboard so far.
That's pretty interesting. And is it a digital one or no, it must not be digital.
Yeah. No, just, nice, simple, dry billboard.
Very cool. So going back to before you were profitable and that 5-year mark, were you still working out of your home at that point, or were you invested in warehouse or office space before then?
All right. So for the first 1.5 to 2 years, garage.
Okay.
After 1.5, 2 years, scary storage locker in a dark alley downtown. Not gonna lie, it was scary. We did not go down there at night. Then from there we evolved. I would say this is probably at the year 4 mark.
Okay.
We a warehouse space for probably maybe 5 or 6 years, and it worked really well for us. And then we just got too big and we were bursting from the seams. So we had to find a new warehouse space at that time. And I did a look back at how much money I had spent over the years on leasing a warehouse space. I'm going to give you pros and cons here.
Okay.
So we had leased this space, and I thought how much money went into that I will never see again. So I was looking at buying the next space. And at this time, it was past the 5-year mark, built a little bit of credential with the banks. Actually, no, that's not true. Banks still wouldn't look at us, but we went to the business development bank, showed them our progress and how we were growing, had to give them a little proposal as to why we think we're worthy of the money. And so we borrowed the money to buy our first warehouse space. So absolutely a pro. All of that money that I'm paying towards my warehouse space has now money that I'm going to get back. Real numbers, we bought our 3,800 square foot warehouse space. At that time, it was $480,000 for that warehouse space. My monthly payments were hundreds of dollars, not thousands, hundreds of dollars more each month, but I was getting more space. So I was spending about the same money. Now that same warehouse space, and we've only been in this new warehouse space for, I'm going to guess 6-7 years. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe even longer than that. That warehouse space we bought for $460 is now worth $1.2 million. So this
Talk
now
about a return on your investment. Good job. That's impressive.
It's brilliant. Now it's only worth what it's worth when you sell it. Who knows what the market will do? But I can't imagine it's going to come down a whole lot more. And so more so than that, as a self-employed person, it is really hard to plan for your future, right? Retirement, all of these things. Now that warehouse space, if we decide to ever sell, close shop, not do this anymore, we can either lease out that warehouse space to someone else and have an income coming in.
Smart.
Or we can sell it and
Yep.
have that money for our retirement, right?
Yep.
So,
And if you
that's
sell
kind of
your business, it's a huge asset for your business.
100%. You can
Yeah.
sell your business as just the business itself, or you can sell your business with the warehouse space. So
Yep.
you can sell two parts
Yeah.
of that business. So yeah, it's been kind of
Smart.
fantastic that way.
So, do you know the number of how much you spent leasing all of those years?
Do you
Off
know
the
what?
top of
I
your head?
did know that number. So we were paying, I had very low rate comparatively, and I think I was paying $2,500 a month for my
Well, not
warehouse
too
space.
bad.
It wasn't too bad. But again, you have to remember, I'm in a smaller town, right? When I say small town, 150,000 people. So I'm not in a major city. So I was able to find warehousing for a little less money than if I'm in the middle of Vancouver or New York or wherever. It's all relative. But I can assure you that money I will never see again, right?
No,
So,
exactly.
so it's only kind of looking forward. Now, I was going to tell you about the cons of buying your own warehouse.
Yes.
I could grow again.
You will.
And the problem is now I'm limited to that warehouse square footage. I own that. So I would have to sell that warehouse, buy one for more money in order to get into a big space. When you're leasing, you just go, this is too small for me now. I'm going to lease a new space and you're going to pay a bit more money, but there's really no cost of processing. When you think of realtor fees and such, and taxes and things that you have to deal with when you own
Close.
your warehouse space.
Yeah.
Would I do it again anyway? Absolutely. There's no question, but those are the things you have to think about. We could use more space right now than the warehouse that we have. So we kind of stay put.
It doesn't mean you couldn't always sell this one and get something bigger. I mean, that's obviously not something that sounds too exciting because who wants to move and come up with the funds and go through all that process? But it's just like upgrading your home. I mean, no different there. But now you've got some assets that you could leverage.
Well, and I could also lease a bigger space and rent out mine.
Exactly.
Right? So, so
there are options.
There are options.
Yeah.
There are options.
So when you decided to move from the garage to the scary storage unit, that was probably a easier decision than when you decided to go from the scary storage unit to the actual official warehouse space. And I feel like what I hear from a lot of stagers is that's where they really, really get hung up. Like, how do I know I'm bringing in enough money that I'm going to continue to have business in these slow seasons and afford this more expensive space? So for the people that are thinking that, listening to this, what kind of advice could you give them when you're thinking about what was going through your head during that time and how you were able to like wrap your head around that? Did you consult with somebody to look at your numbers and tell you, yeah, you're good to do this?
Let me tell you that I have made every mistake possible along the way. And because of that, I have grown and learned. If I was able to, say, start working for a staging company and learn from them, on how they were doing and miss all of the things that I have done wrong all the way, I tell you, life would be much easier. So those are giant, scary decisions. But one thing that I have always done, and I'm going to tell you this may not be popular belief, but what I've done my whole trip here in 20 years of building a staging company is I have tried to live with no debt. So I have always, and again, this is not popular belief, and everybody will tell you this is the wrong way of doing things, but I have bought what I could afford. I've only taken on as many staging jobs as I could afford while slowly building up enough to buy the next amount. I have not spent ridiculous amounts of money buying ahead of what I need. I would rather buy a little bit at a time. I would rather be a little low on inventory and go buy a few things for that project that's going to bring me in income. So that's how I've done that. But I do want to stress that from many people who also do the same business, who have been working as long as I have, they have borrowed money to be great, to do a project, to get return on investment. But I am also the type of person who refuses to pay credit card debt. Now that we're established and there's money in the bank for opportunity to fail, right? Like if we did fail, we're okay. We got some
Yes.
coverage. You know what I mean? So as you get older, you can be a little bit more, I don't know, risky with certain things, and take chances. But I wasn't ever a risk taker in that sense. So I would offer blood, sweat, and tears for free. That's easy, but money is harder for me. So I'm not saying that it's the right way to do things. I was lucky that I had the support of my husband, who was still earning an income, to kind of make sure we didn't sink our ship. And so I kind of took baby steps to make sure. But yeah, like again, a lot of people invest heavy first, and I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying it's scary.
So did you like set a rule for yourself? I need to have so much set aside before I make a move into this new inventory, or not inventory, new warehouse space.
Yeah.
What was your
For
goal to get there?
Yeah, I think for a lease, to get into a lease, there was no real risk there. I knew I had to spend some money to store this stuff. That's just bottom line. It's way more efficient than having 5 storage lockers somewhere.
Yes. Thank you.
And your elements are not working with you and you're standing outside of storage locker. I knew that was not comfortable. Oh, and I should say that was another step I did take, more storage lockers. Too small of a warehouse, then storage lockers as well, and then having to pick up from both spots. That's definitely something I did too, and that was painful. So I would say for the convenience, the ease, the gaining some time, getting into a lease was pretty easy. I knew that I could afford this much money per month, right?
Okay.
So that was easy. Buying a property was a little scarier because, yes, you have to have a down payment, right? And then you've got to, make sure you can afford those monthly payments. Again, was it worth every risk? Absolutely. No question. Looking back, it was the best decision.
Love that.
So there's pros and cons with both, for sure.
And when did you decide to hire somebody like officially in your business where you were really paying them, not just having your husband help you out?
Oh, such a great question. Okay. So, at the beginning of time, I wore every hat. You are the mover. You are the quoter. You are the booker. You are the banker. You are the bookkeeper.
Accounts payable, accounts receivable, all of the things.
All of the things. And I worked a lot. I worked a real lot. I would say that the first person that I hired was for free. I had somebody from the interior design college come and do her practicum with me.
Smart.
And so she worked for me for 2 months for free for her practicum. And having those extra hands was wonderful. And she was a great decorator. And she helped me realize that I can take more jobs and do more things by having that extra set of hands. That girl still works for me today.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So before I get into where you are today, how did you get connected with the college to make that happen?
They beg for people to come to do practicum with their interior design students. They send their people to paint stores, to furniture stores, anywhere where they can actually apply their design knowledge. And they don't want to go work at a paint store, and they don't want to go work at a furniture store. They want to work for an interior design company, a home staging company. It's their foot in the door. I went through probably 6 different people from the college, always free help. Some I would never hire again. Right? Not that they were bad. They just weren't good, I guess.
Right.
So
they weren't a fit for you.
They just weren't. Thank you.
Yes.
That was a way nicer way of saying that. So I would say that it was a wonderful kind of way to find your person that clicks with you, who's going to help you. It was free training. And so you just phone them up and you say, if you are looking for places for your practicum students, we will help you with that. We have openings anytime you need them.
I love that. And did you
you
have
on the
any
list.
requirements to like report back to the school or anything, or that was all up to the student?
Student did everything.
Smart.
At the end of their practicum, I had to fill out a form like, how did they do? Was there anything that they did in this? Like, you know what I mean? All these questions. Would you hire them again? Is there anything that you could learn? Like, and that took me 5 minutes, right? So that was really nice and easy. And if you just keep getting those free practicum students to help you, that's a great way to get started.
At that point, was this the first time you were managing somebody in this capacity?
Absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
also a good learning experience for you to not have to put some money out there with somebody who's
Gosh.
expecting like a full legit job. You're going into, I mean, not that yours wasn't, but like a full paying, maybe benefits, all of those things. It's nice to get a student who, like you said, is eager to learn and allow you to kind of learn how to become a manager because that is a different
It
role.
is. Well, one
Yeah.
thing I can tell you is if you are looking for free people to come and work for you at a paint store, that's hard.
Hmm.
They want to be paid for that. Everybody loves decorating, even if they don't know a darn thing about it, right? They love it, right? So it's easy to get people to help you for free. They just want the experience. They want to help. They love to decorate. So I get people all the time asking if they could just job shadow.
Yeah.
I'm like, heck yeah, come on in. Absolutely.
Right.
Come and job shadow. I am never, ever worried about creating my competition. Competition's healthy. If you want to come in and learn from me and do your own business, no problem. I don't want you stealing my concepts or,
Right.
that kind of thing. However, I'm not worried about that. I love the extra help. And again, if they're skilled people, that's pretty fantastic.
And obviously, she was really skilled to still be working with you. So, what's her role like today in your company?
Well, you've met Veronica. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Veronica she was my practicum student. She literally is my right hand, my left hand. She's pretty fantastic. So I am so lucky because it's really hard to find those people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you though. Veronica and I had a bumpy bit, right?
Mm.
So she's been with me for, I don't know, 11, 12 years, maybe. I think it's probably 11 or 12 years. She and I got to a point in our relationship that she felt underappreciated and I felt I was overpaying. And
This is like
so,
the same story you'll hear in any business,
yeah,
regardless of the industry. So, let me
so
hear
true.
how you guys resolved this and addressed it.
Do you want to know what happened with us? We agreed to disagree
Okay.
and she left for a year. Yeah.
Wow.
She left for a year. She went and worked elsewhere. I don't know how many elsewheres, but she went and worked elsewhere. She decided that life wasn't easy on the other side. It wasn't as creative. She didn't have the full, I give her like, what do you want? What are we doing?
Mhm.
Veronica sets her own hours. We decided we're working 4 10-hour days instead of 5 8-hour days. And so I give her a lot of creative freedom. She can take holidays whenever she wants, as long as it's not at the same time as somebody else. So I love her to bits, and again, I'm so lucky. I have Cassandra who's been working with me for years and she's wonderful. And I just find that there's struggles on both sides, right?
Mhm.
There's always that underappreciation. And I will say that Veronica came, I don't want to use the word begging because that's not what it was, but she came begging for her job back. I came begging for her to be back, right?
Yeah.
I realized how much she did for me when she left. She realized how much,
How fulfilled she felt in her role and that was more
exactly.
than maybe the monetary.
That's it. And then when
Yeah.
she came back, she was twice the employee she was before, and she was great before. So,
Wow. That's
yeah. So
impressive.
it
I
hurt
love
though.
that story.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt a lot. I cried. I cried a lot when she left. I really
I'm
did.
sure. And
But
since
it
she was
honestly,
your right hand gal, like what did you do at that point? Did you have somebody else working with you? Or because I know as a small business owner, when you lose an employee, especially when it's not on your decision making or when you think it's coming, that's honestly the worst thing ever, especially in this
it
line of
is.
business.
It is.
Yeah.
I have another story. Cassandra, who works for me and is also brilliant. After Veronica left me, I was very tired. I was doing everything. I wanted to prove to everybody that I could do all the jobs myself. I didn't need anybody and put on all these. I literally burnt myself right out. But Cassandra had applied for work with me 3 times. She kept calling. How about now? How about now? And I was in such a broken state at that time. I was afraid to hire somebody so that they could come in and see how broken I was at that time. So tired, exhausted. And she was so consistent that finally I just said, let's try you out for a little bit. Why don't you come and work for me for a couple of weeks? And if that works out, we'll keep going. And that worked out brilliantly. And that was during the time that Veronica had left. And so Cassandra had filled some shoes very nicely, did a great job, had lots to learn. It was starting all over again. And of course, she didn't have the knowledge that Veronica did being with me for years. But anyways, bottom line is they wanted those positions so badly. Like it was sort of this thing where it was like they really wanted to do it. Cassandra was just begging to get into the industry. And, and it's worked out brilliantly. So it doesn't always, sometimes you couldn't put an ad and find the perfect person, but sometimes they find you.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when they're that persistent. There's something about somebody that's persistent. And in this line of work, I feel like you do need to be persistent no matter what hat you are wearing, because it's not easy. So what does your team look like today? How many employees do you have, and what are...
So I have had many employees. We were probably at a team of 10. I found that way too hard to handle, way too hard to manage. And then we shrunk again. Right now, my team consists of myself and 2 other designers and an office manager who basically is trying to run everything as far as organizing us and keeping us out on projects and making sure everything's done, all the paperwork. And then we have 2 movers. Our movers we've worked with for 10 years. And when I say that, they're part of our team, but they are subcontractors. So they're not on the payroll, but we've had the same guys. They drive our truck. And they show up whenever we need them. And that's been pretty brilliant too. Having consistency in employees saves so much time and money.
So much time. I think I read a stat somewhere last year, and it was something like it costs $50,000 to train somebody. And it's like, wow, I can't imagine having to go through that and them only last a year or 2. And it's like, oh, well, now we have to start all over again. That's got to be frustrating. And I'm sure that that's some of the reasons why people are so fearful about hiring people outside of their family. So in the beginning, was that kind of your MO? Like, I'm going to start with people that I know, start with my family? Or did you know I'm going to have to bring in some non-family members?
Well, my family still work with me. Mm-hmm. So my husband is a contractor. So he does, renovations, painting, electrical, whatever it takes. So, however, what we learned very quickly is he was working with me at the beginning. He was on the other side of the sofa. He was helping me with everything. But then we realized that people look at family like they should be free. Right. And so we realized quickly that he had to have his business and I had to have mine, and that they were going to be connected. We have the same clients, the same processes, but we try to make every staging project a bit of design and renovation as well. So what we'll do is I'll be like, yeah, we need to paint. We need to change some light fixtures. Rick is going to come and do that. Here's how much it's going to cost. And so Rick's business has never, ever advertised.
Of course not.
No, right? And in 15 years, he's never advertised, and he is busy every day, all day long. So that's just an extension of our business. We keep him busy by recommending the prep work that needs to be done so that we can go in and make things pretty.
So how's it like working with your husband? How do you keep things separated at home? Or do you not?
No, do you know what? My husband is my sun and moon and stars. He's absolutely amazing. Does he drive me crazy on a regular basis? Absolutely. Do we have to try not to argue in front of other people? Yes. Because he has his way, I have my way, and I'll say something and he'll say something different. So there are challenges. The best part, though, about him not being in the staging aspect, but more of the renovation, is I go in, I pick the colors, I pick the lights, then he goes in and he does it. So we're not working knee to knee every day, whereas that's helpful, where he's not sort of in my space every day. As much as I love him, I think that is probably the reason why things work so well.
And your son also works for you full time?
That's right. So my son is my husband's right hand. So they are the construction renovation team, and they have one other employee that works with them as well. So there's just 3 of them doing whatever needs to be done before we get in. And then my daughter also works with me. So she was working with me full time and helping me, with everything. What I love about working with my daughter is she is me incarnate. We work beautifully together. But she found love, moved down to the coast. She's she's now with her boyfriend who's finishing university. They will be back next year. I'm so excited. But right now she's just working remotely for me. So she's helping me with different renderings and proposals and, sending a Canva proposal to somebody. So she's even taking some of the work we have for people that are working that have secondary homes in Vancouver. So she's actually getting those referrals and bringing that into the business as well. So yes, we are family connected. And I would say that our staff members also being with us forever, our other family members. It's like it's still family.
Yeah. So does your daughter have plans to take everything over? Does she want to start her own business?
She would love to. She would love to. So she has her interior design. She's done that. She's been working on that while she's been away. And she would love to come in and step in and be a part owner. So we are trying real hard to not gift the business to her because I just find that you always value things more when you have to work your way into it and earn it. And so she is definitely going to be a wonderful way that I can at least step back a bit, take more time away, and know that she has 100% invested interest. So that is nice.
Do you guys have boundaries where like you're not going to talk shop at the dinner table? Or
we have tried to set boundaries, and I'll tell you why that doesn't work. If we're not talking about it at home, we're too busy during the day to talk about it. And then things don't go as they need to. So we had this ongoing joke in our house. We had bought a hot tub, and it was the most wonderful thing because you are forced to talk to the person in there, and it's typically solving the world's problems.
Right.
So it was our one time, because otherwise you get home and one person's watching TV and the other person's doing something else, and you're home, but you're not together. So it was our one way to work through the next day's things, talk a little bit about personal, have some downtime, and you're relaxed because you're in some hot bubblies. So yeah, get a hot tub.
I love that idea. Yeah. For those people that don't use their hot tubs, because my husband for a while worked for like a spa company, and he was like, these people like never use these hot tubs. I'm like, how could you spend that much money and it's that relaxing? I'd be in it every night, night. Those bubbles on your back, especially after a long day of staging.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that.
Awesome.
So let's talk about your big awards. I know you've won so many. I knew you had, and then I was doing my research for this podcast, and I couldn't believe, I was like, almost every single year, she's either been a finalist multiple times or won the whole dang thing. So you're obviously doing a lot of things right. And this year you won the luxury category for Canada.
Our favorite.
And the interior styling. So how long have you been in the luxury market? Is that something that you did from the beginning?
Nope. Those were highly intimidating early. And especially with 3-legged sofas. Do you know what I mean? So
Thank God you didn't jump right in with the 3-legged sofa.
Goodness me, right?
Because there are some luxury houses that have those 3-legged sofas in them.
And you know what? I think you have to earn your position for luxury. You know what? You're going to have people who are experienced, who know value, who own those homes.
Yes.
And they're the people who are hiring you. And if you're putting in an inexpensive, cheap 3-legged sofa, you're going to end up having to change it. They are too experienced to let you do an inappropriate job, right? It has to be scale for scale. So I would say over the years of changing and editing and processing, like, okay, this furniture is now yucky, moving on, and kind of constantly editing. We're famous for our garage sales every year, right? Trying to filter through the stuff that's not working for us or hasn't worked in the last 3 or 4 homes, and constant editing. You earn your way to luxury staging. We are a company that stages whole homes. We will do every single room and every part of the house. Because I find sometimes when you walk in and there's only a few rooms staged, it doesn't have the same effect as a whole house that's staged, where you're creating luxury in the whole space. So we have the inventory to do that. We never did have that. So we've probably only been in the luxury market for, 10 years or so. But we live in what's considered sort of a vacation town. So there's money here, right? There's money here. This is a lot of people's secondary homes that they're selling and things like that. So you definitely have to earn your keep. And I would have to say the very first luxury job we did, oh my gosh, I spent way more than I made without question.
Though. Yeah. Especially
you
in the
have
beginning.
to spend the money, but then you have that stuff, and then you can offer it again, right? So it is building the brand for sure.
When you got that first listing that was luxury, was it another situation where somebody came to you and was like, can you do this? And you're like, yeah, absolutely. And then you're like, oh, no, let me figure this out. Or was it strategic? I'm going after this.
I would say a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I knew what I was afraid of. I didn't promote that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't promote anything too fancy, too luxury at the beginning of time. And then when somebody did call, a realtor that we worked with through some entry level processes got a bigger listing, it was also new to them. Right. It was kind of interesting. And then they hired us and it was like, okay, this has gotta, we had to spend a lot, right? We had to spend a lot to get there. And so like everything with every staging job, you've got to lose some money at the beginning to learn how not to do that. I didn't charge enough. What I would recommend is like, if you're getting into the luxury market, start charging a lot. And if you don't get the job, you're not going to get hurt. If you charge a lot and you get the job, you've got some money to buy some new things for your inventory. So that would be one thing that I would recommend in order to keep it.
So talking about the pricing, how'd you figure out, do you remember like what you did to determine the price on those first couple luxury listings?
The world right now is such an easy place. Having RESA to back you is such a treat that I never had.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made all of the mistakes. I didn't know how to charge rent, how to collect money. All of these things were things that I had to learn. So yeah, very, very challenging. So how did I learn how to charge? Well, from losing money from the previous job.
So how long did it take you to figure out that you lost money though? Like immediately?
I'm still learning.
After the job was over, are you like, okay, let's see how much money I made? At what point do you sit down with the numbers and say, gosh, I lost money? Do you know immediately? Or is it like at the end of the quarter?
Well, anybody who has somebody who's good with numbers and papers and tallying in their business is going to do well.
Yes.
I did not have that, right? Again, it was such a learn. I'm good with money, but I don't understand money, right? I don't understand how much it takes to make, what percentages you charge, how to avoid losing. That truly came from making mistakes, trial and error. So I would say that there's no formula that I still follow to this day. There's no like, okay, this is going to cost me $30,000 to furnish this house and I need 10% back. I still, there's no formula.
Okay.
I think it just comes from a place of what can I get away with charging and still get the job?
What the market will bear.
What the market will bear, right?
Yeah.
Knowing and understanding your client. This is their third property. They're a builder. They've staged before and they know. There's all of these aspects that let you know where you can charge. If I have too much inventory in my warehouse and I need it out, I charge less.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper to get some money than to have it sit in your garage. So
doing nothing.
There's a basic formula, but then there's also reality. I need this job. I need to get furniture out, or I don't need this job. I don't have enough inventory. Those are definitely things that affect my pricing for sure.
And that's still the case today, 20 years later. For everybody
100%.
Listening that thinks RESA, a training provider, a financial advisor is going to be able to give me a calculator. I'm going to be able to put my little things in there. And this is going to be my number forever for the rest of the time until I make my next price increase. It doesn't work like that always.
It doesn't.
Yeah, this isn't one of those kind of businesses. It's not like I have a product for sale and I know my true cost is going to be this for the next 12 months. So let's put it on the shelf for this. And it is what it is. My markup's 50%. That's great. It's not that kind of a business. So if you're getting into it thinking it is, you're going to be disappointed, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Market fluctuations also change, right?
Yes.
People know that in a slow market where houses aren't selling, they don't want to pay monthly rent for very long. So that's where they want your numbers to shrink. The upfront cost they don't care about.
Right.
But in a market where things are selling quickly, the rent they don't care about because it's going to be sold in a month. We don't care if it's going to be like this much money per month for rent. So you really have to let the market also dictate your pricing. It's a tricky business. You just go wherever you need to. I find I'm not just a stager. I'm taking their garbage out sometimes, right? If it's going to affect their entire presentation on how things are looking, I'm going to do that, right? So I just think that there is no perfect system. You have to bend and flex where you need to. You need to be able to give away a bit more or charge a bit more when you have that luxury. The other thing is if you charge too much to a client who's going to give you repeat business, they're going to think you're too expensive, right? So you kind of have to get them on board and then kind of bring your pricing up sometimes. So yeah, there's no rhyme or reason.
And when you have done price increases in the past, do you usually approach it where you are informing people in advance? Or is it one of those things like, oh, this is your next time shopping here. Here's your bill. Like, it's up to you to notice there's a difference. How do you
Yeah.
handle that? Because I hear people like advertising it in advance. Even there's a salon that I go to and, they'll tell me, oh, we're raising our prices come the new year. And I thought, like, you don't need to tell me that. I wouldn't know. I don't remember what it was the last time I got my hair done. Now you've brought
Agreed.
awareness to it, but I could see the benefit. So how do you handle it?
I'm never going to tell anybody.
Okay.
And then, so this actually recently happened to me. So I had a realtor. She's sort of like a entry-level market realtor. So her clients don't have a lot of money, but she loves staging. She loves it. But she constantly brings it up to her clients and she can't sell them on it because they just don't have the extra money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been happening is we had a project where she asked us about staging. We had said we sent out a price. She couldn't do it. She couldn't talk to the people into it. Then all of a sudden we had a lull in our calendar. We needed to fill it. So we called her and said, hey, we have an opportunity for you to do a horizontal move. So we can do this for way less for you, right? Knowing that we weren't doing any moving. We were still starting from our warehouse, but we had to have a reason why our prices were low.
Yeah.
So we gave her a quote for that, which was much lower. Then she had another job when we quoted for that. And then on the third quote, she called me and she's like, why is this house way more money than the last house? Like, what was that? You know what I mean? So you have to have that, hey, well, the reason that was because we were moving it from one house to another. There weren't any moving expenses. Like, you have to have all the right answers as to why, because she's absolutely right.
Yeah, right.
There was no reason that it was different. It's just like, well, we know we can get this much this time. I don't know, right? So, but anyway, so she called us on our stuff anyway. And so that happened. And then it's like, she just called us for another job. And we're like, okay, we got to look back at all these other quotes that we've given her and make it reflect, the difference in why we're able to quote this. Bottom line is no two homes are alike. Some have elevators. Some are harder to move in. Yes, it's smaller square footage, but it's way harder to move into. So you have to have that ammunition to be able to be caught.
Exactly. That's funny.
When somebody calls you on your irregularity of pricing.
So then I take it you don't put pricing on your website?
Absolutely no.
Okay.
No.
And do you get people calling? Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll never tell anybody that our prices are increasing or whatever. They just drift up. If I know it's someone who pays attention to the numbers, I'll creep it up gently, and that kind of thing. So no, I don't think that you need to tell anybody what your pricing is. In fact, they won't even know. And especially if it's a realtor, they don't care. They just want their clients to do it, right? For the most part, they're just like, please make this home better so that I actually can sell it. So.
Are you working with, how many agents are you working with today on a regular basis?
Anybody who will take me, right?
Yeah.
Honestly. So we work with every realtor. We don't discriminate, but I would say regularly we have 10 realtors who think that we are the bomb. These 10 realtors recommend us for everything that they do, even if it's a quick little spruce up or a completely vacant property. So those 10 realtors are basically our bread and butter, and everyone else we're working on.
So the 10 that are your all-star clients, are any of them paying for consultations for?
Every one of them would.
Well, okay.
Any one of them would. So we have some realtors who will pay for our entire staging.
Okay.
If they know that they don't have an opportunity to sell. We always advise those realtors to tell their people that, listen, I'm going to pay for it, but it's going to come out of your commission.
Yes.
We always tell them, don't pay for it. Don't just pay for it. You have to have that covered, because if they decide to switch and go with another realtor and you've put that out of your own pocket, that's going to hurt you, which is going to make you not want to use us again.
Yeah, definitely.
So we tell them if they can build it into their closing, when your house sells, we give you this money back. You pay for it up front, you're going to get it back. They will do that all day long.
Okay. And in your market, how long are homes typically sitting when they're not staged?
This last year, with the exception of the last couple of months, everything's selling very, very quickly. This last year, we've had homes that have been sitting on the market for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, which has never happened in the history of time. Just bad market. People aren't spending money. People aren't moving. Nobody knows what the heck's happening in the world. So
and is that your luxury homes that you're seeing that in? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Luxury homes are always harder to sell.
Yes.
You can almost always expect to collect a monthly paycheck for a little while. But luxury homes right now are just not selling. And those are sitting on the market for a year. And, after they've been paying me rent for a year, they call and they're like, listen, we need to get those costs down. I'll go, absolutely. You keep that furniture. I'm going to reduce my cost to make you keep that furniture in there. I'm not going to reduce too much, right? Because I love that income that I get each month. But that's certainly the way we make the most money is in our rental payments. For certain.
So for the people listening who aren't taking advantage of maximizing those monthly rentals, what kind of income are we talking on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, whatever numbers are you getting?
So right now, we have approximately 50 homes staged.
Okay.
So the minimum amount that we're collecting on a monthly rental is about $1,000. Doing the math,
Wow.
That's at least a $50,000 income I'm getting from furniture rental. Now, it sounds like a lot, but when you think about the fact that every house has to have about $30,000 worth of furniture in it if you're doing all of the rooms, that's not great math. It's just that because I've been doing it for so long and my inventory has been in the system for so long, that's making me tons of money.
Yeah.
Starting out, when you have to buy everything, that math isn't the best.
So today, how long is it taking you to pay off a sofa, for example? How many times are you using it before it's paid for?
We buy very neutral furniture, always. I know that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of stagers who do really cool design and really funky, eclectic things with lots and lots of color, and I love it. I just don't think it's a sustainable reality.
Right.
I feel like you have to buy neutral and then have fun with your throw pillows and your throw blankets and things like that. I have gone through way too much furniture and lost money on it by not keeping it in the queue for long enough. Where now our beige sofas, our off-white sofas, like our gray sofas, those sofas have been with me for 5, 6, 7 years, right?
Okay.
Some of our sofas have been with us longer. The minute that they're any kind of out of style, we're not going to use it. I'd rather sell that on Marketplace and get a few bucks back for it and buy something new, right? I'm not going to keep it because I've got it. It has to stay on trend. So that's why we buy very simple furnishings that are not too modern or too traditional or too whatever. They are standard pieces of furniture that are going to stay in the queue for a good long time because inventory is expensive.
Very expensive. So for the rental fees that you're collecting, what part of your overhead do you think that might be covering? Like, does it cover your mortgage? All of it. Yeah, that's what I would assume. So for those listening, listen to how you could, that would make me sleep so well at night. Like, okay, all I have to do is have appropriate rental fees. My overhead's taken care of. And then all of my new staging jobs, that's just money in the bank. Money in the bank. For those that are afraid to charge their worth on the rental fees, listen to Tammy. There is a reason to do it, and nobody expects anything for free.
No, can I tell you one little secret? The upfront costs when you are trying to get the job, that's the scary one.
Yes.
So if somebody wants you to stage their house and they believe you're going to sell their house very quickly, which is our goal, right? They just want to know, what's that upfront number? So if that upfront number is $10,000, you're probably not going to get the job. But if you can have a higher rental, they're going to see how beautiful the house looks, and it will kill them to remove the furniture before it does the job of actually selling the house. So they will just keep paying you that rental until your house is sold because it's their only hope sometimes, having it look beautiful inside. So upfront cost, don't be silly. Don't give it away. Keep it on the lower scale, get the job, and then they will be your forever friends, even though they don't like how much they're paying you each month to keep the furniture. We only have a 1 month minimum. Yeah, we have a 1 month minimum, right?
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask.
They
just
never
1 month?
want to take it out. Yeah, we build, here's your 1 month cost. It includes the first month rental and all the services.
Wow.
And after that, every 30 days, we get an automatic payment processed on your card to keep that furniture. And like I said, nobody ever wants to remove that furniture out when it looks good.
So for the market that you've been in this last year, let's say like 6 months ago, would you go in and write a contract that maybe gives them a 4-month rental period at a discounted rate? Or are you charging maximum amount every 30 days, no discount?
No discounts unless they call and cry, right? If they call and cry, I'll do something for them, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to take that furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll avoid it at all costs. So yeah, I would say that no. In fact, like I said, we've collected monthly payments for projects for over a year on some that we have listed right now, and they've never so much as called to cry about it. So I just think that's my income. That's how I make money.
And do you put their card on file? Or are you having somebody in your office call them and process that every month? Or does it differ depending on the client?
I will never chase money.
Thank God.
We take their credit card on file every time. Even if they don't want to pay by credit card, we say, we absolutely get that. You send us an e-transfer or however you want to pay on time. We will never process that credit card. If you're so much as 2 days late, your card will be processed.
Have you ever had any issues where you had to remove staging because people aren't paying or anything like that?
So yes, absolutely. I have never felt that it has been worth chasing it, to be honest, for too long. So I can actually name on one hand over 20 years the addresses probably of those people who have not paid. So what we'll do is we will threaten to remove the furniture if they're not paying. And if that doesn't work, typically, then we will go take the furniture out, right?
Yeah.
So it's never in there for more than a couple of months more than what they've paid for. Most of them will call, make some form of arrangements. If they're like, oh my gosh, can we pay at close? We're like, here's a company that does that, but we are not doing it, right? So we're not a financing company. We need that. So I'm super flexible and kind when people are struggling. I'm not going to say, forget about it. We don't care about you. I'm going to be as flexible as I can. I will attempt to reduce those fees. I will attempt to give them a bit of a break. Hey, we don't get paid till this time. Yeah, no problem. No problem. But if it's not paid at that time, then I will be like, you know what? I'm
be a different person. Yeah,
absolutely.
Or somebody in my office will come after you. So I can still be the nice guy.
Yeah. That cute little thing. She's not very, she's tough, but yeah.
We all have one of those cute little things. And then you're like, yeah, I see. You have another side to you.
That's right. Exactly.
Did you ever experience any loss of your inventory from like theft or damage from the homeowners?
Yeah. Okay. So we have one company. They're a giant company. In our contract, it does say that if things go missing, you are responsible for it. So we had one company they had 5 different show homes set up. They would give people the keys to just go by themselves through all of these show homes. But in doing that, they took the risk that if things went missing, they would just buy them from us. So that happened. I found that when people would steal from the home, it was because they were not shown through by a realtor or by somebody specifically. So that's mostly taken care of in our realty system right now. Everybody has to go in a house with a realtor, so way less things are stolen. It doesn't happen very often, but it's funny when it does. Actually, this was a little while ago, but we had somebody call us and is like, we really love this sofa table, this rug, and this thing, right? We'd really like it. How much? We send them the price for it. Nothing. They don't buy it. Because of course they wanted it at garage sale prices. And so then we get a phone call. This is months later. We get a phone call that someone has broken into the house and stolen some things out of the house. And you want to know what things were missing?
That rug, same things that you quoted them. Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, how stupid do you have to be? But we have insurance. We have insurance for that.
Yes, did they actually file like a police report and everything?
We had to in order to collect on our insurance.
Okay. But they did not. The homeowner just like made a fib to you.
They got to take that stuff for free. But we got our money back from the insurance company, so we were okay.
Yeah,
there is normal loss of of course, everybody uses your hand towels in a project, right? Your hand towels always come back disgusting. And then once you wash them, they're no longer displayable, right? Like they come back all, lumpy or whatever. There's those things that we just go, yeah, goodbye. Somebody breaks a vase. I'm not making you pay for that. That's an accident. That happened. So it's really only when it's a bigger deal. You have to prepare for some loss. Your movers are going to break something. Your designers are going to break something. The client's going to break something. So as long as it's minimal, I don't think we have an issue. We did have someone destroy an entire, $2,000 couch because their dog was up on it and stuff like that. There was not supposed to be any pets in the home. And we just went, you know what? You own a beautiful new couch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, here it is. You just pay this much money. And you know what? They were fine with that. So people are reasonable for the most part.
So it sounds like you're still doing occupied properties then.
Yeah, I hate them.
Yeah, who doesn't?
I don't like them because
Bobby McGrath, she loves them, I guess.
Things are never the same as where you put it. They're always moved around. Sometimes a photographer comes in, the couch has been sat on and the cushions are a hot mess, or, or they have pets. Like we avoid pets. That's the one thing we do. We love them. We own them. We don't want them on our furnishing. So that's a deal breaker for us. But, people, when they're living on your furniture, we let them know as an occupied home, if it gets destroyed, sagging, dirt, whatever, if you can't get it professionally cleaned, you officially own that furniture. We're not just going to charge you, you get to keep it, right?
Yeah.
So, and you know what? People are pretty easygoing. It's like, yeah, you know what? My dog peed on this 3 times, this rug, and it's like, you know what? You own this wonderful rug. There you go.
Exactly. And I don't want it back. So,
No,
yeah.
no, exactly.
So I'm curious about what your process looks like from beginning to end when you bring on a new client. When they call to book the service from pickup day, what's that look like?
Okay. So first thing, once the phone is answered and we understand what their project looks like, we used to want to see every single staging project in person because we would get 90% of the jobs we quoted in person. We'd be talking to someone, we'd be showing them our portfolio. They like us a little bit. We brag about what we can do and how it's going to happen. But what we found over the last while is we get a realtor box code, go in, the property's empty. And if you're just sending numbers to somebody, they don't even know what they're getting for those numbers, So because of that, the way that's been going, what we do is we answer the phone. Hello, let's hear more about your project. We'd love to quote this property in person. However, we're going to send you a little email with how we roll, right? Basically what we do, what our typical costs or our process is. Here's some wonderful before and afters. It's our portfolio before we get there so that we don't lose the opportunity to show them our work. And what we're going to do. So we take the information, we book the consultation, we send them our information that tells them who we are and what we do. Then we take our measurements, our photos, that kind of fun stuff. We still like to do this in person.
Okay.
So the designers right now, their system is they will go and they will view the property in person and they take all of their before photos and they do a walkthrough video because whoever is not there can't really understand the home as a whole by pictures of certain rooms. So they get to watch the video, then they look at the photos, and then they can do their design planning. Before, what I used to do is I would send 2 designers to the house to take the measurements, take the photos, because they were the ones doing the job. And one designer would be doing this planning and the other designer would be doing this planning. And then I thought, I can't be sending 2 designers to the house. And
that's
so
a lot
that
of
was
extra money.
Yeah. So now one person goes, if it's me or one of them, they will go, they do the photos, they do the videos, and such. Then we use the wonderful Honeybook to send out a proposal. Once again, it's not just numbers. It's look how wonderful we are. We're an award-winning staging company. And here's all the things you need to know. We're insured. We're all of this one stuff. And here's your numbers. And we want to make sure all of that information is known before they get the numbers.
Yeah.
Then Honeybook is so great. They get to approve it right there. Then the contract goes out. They sign the contract. And then we book the job in. And then we email them saying, this is the date we have your staging booked. And this is how long it's going to take.
Do you collect payment in advance at any point here?
Sure. Of course. Absolutely. And I won't even begin to plan a project until I have a 60% deposit on what we've asked for. So we do a 60% deposit. Then we start planning. We start putting things together. We book a date. We load the truck. And then on the day of staging, we take the other 40% of our payment.
Are you using Stageforce for your inventory and planning and doing that in the office? Or are you actually going into the warehouse and planning that way?
So we Stageforce. And for those of you who just think you have a little tiny business and not a lot of stuff, having an inventory system goes a long way. And you will need it if you have intentions of growing and becoming a big company. And doing inventory later is hard. So if you can start early with an inventory process, that really does. Yes, it's an expense, but it really does help.
And Stageforce is nice because you just pay based on how many pieces you have. So you don't have to invest a huge amount if you only have a little bit of inventory. It grows with you. I like that about it.
Exactly. That is a good thing because you don't want to be paying a big amount with a small amount of furniture. So yes, that is wonderful. So we do all of our planning from our computer for Stageforce. So we basically are looking at our photos. We have kind of double screen options. So one is the house and then we've got our Stageforce open and we do all of our pulling and planning. Now, we're not planning our accessories and we're not planning our art, but we plan all of our furniture for every area of the house on Stageforce.
I love
Then
that.
once we've done that, then the girls are doing their art planning photo by photo, right? So we don't bring too much art to the project because I find art gets damaged if you're moving it too much. So they do all of their planning of art at the warehouse as well. Accessories is something that we do bring a little bit too much and then bring stuff back.
Yeah. Better to have more than not with the accessories.
Exactly. And we definitely double up on the art because in your photographs, you don't see all of the walls until you get there. So we always plan our walls that we know about, the important walls, and then we bring a little extra art for those areas that we're not seeing on our photos. Okay. So again, keeps us from not bringing too much. So, and then Stage Force is the wonderful magic wand. Once we're staging the property, we walk around with our wand and it inventories everything in the house. So again, there's a lot of people with Stage Force who don't inventory their accessories or art, even for that matter. We inventory everything.
Wow.
Absolutely everything.
I'd love to know how many SKUs you have. That must be
A
wild.
lot.
Yeah,
we have
that's
a lot.
So cool.
Yeah, but we love selling our inventory. It's another profit for us, right? Selling our inventory. So we love it when people can just shop in the house and buy an entire room full of stuff, or maybe they just like a few pieces. The art is the one thing we covet. Art's hard to get, right?
It's hard to find. So hard, especially when you're in those luxury spaces. It has to be larger, very specific type of art. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And so because we covet it, we mark it up hard. We hope they don't buy it.
As you should.
And so, but when they do, we've made a decent profit on it. So it's fine, right? So, but if someone is willing to buy an entire house full of furniture, we mark up everything. But if they want the whole house full of furniture and I don't have to bring movers back, I will offer a discount on that, right?
Okay.
And so I don't have to pay those movers. That's going to be a savings for me. So I'll offer them that.
How many times has that happened for you?
I will say people want to buy our inventory every time. But they don't.
Every time.
They want to buy it every time.
Yeah. And then they hear how much it is. Yeah.
Then they hear how much it is and they realize it's retail pricing, not discounted. And then they go, okay, we just want the couch and this piece of art. And we're like, that's fine. No problem. So, but they want it. I'm going to say they want it every time.
Cool.
If it's not the seller, it's the buyer. If it's not the buyer, it's their agent. But we always have people wanting to buy our stuff.
Yeah. I know Cheryl Eisen was talking at RESACON this year about like how much of a market there is for that, and people in luxury markets, second home markets, like it sounds like you're in, definitely are the type that will come in and they're buying the home and they want to buy the entire, all the furniture. And she's like, you guys need to be marking that up, marking it up, marking it as a luxury service. This is a luxury design. You don't have to worry about it. A lot of those people are tech VPs of companies. They don't have the time to shop. So yeah, if you're not doing that already, or if you're thinking like, oh gosh, I'm going to put all this time into sending a quote and they're not going to say no, that's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. But it sounds like the times that it works out, like, cool, you've made some money and now you get to replenish a little bit of inventory.
And that's exactly right. And so the other thing with Stage Force is you have the option to adjust the price in there, right?
Yes.
So there's my cost and then there's what I'm selling it for. What I do before any inventory list goes out to a client is I'll look at it and I'm like, ooh, I want to get rid of that, reduce the price. Don't want to sell that, increase the price. And then sometimes they'll be like, hey, we just want to buy like the dining set. And I'll go, okay, do I have some opportunity to make some good money here? They like it, right? Do I have an opportunity to play with those numbers? So it's a game for sure. But you know what? It's a third avenue to our business, selling the furniture. Yes, when we get it, we have to rebuild it and buy it and all of those things. But when we're pricing it so that it includes not just our cost, but the assembly, the time that I sent the movers to go buy that. That's the price. And so when those clients ask, well, this is like, I saw this same thing at Home Goods and it was this much money. It's like, yes, but you know what? You didn't have it assembled or you didn't have it delivered or whatever. There's different costs that are building that price.
And it's in the perfect place in the house.
Hung on your wall or in the right spot already. So
there's a reason you didn't do all this yourself. So
exactly. Well, and when we send that inventory list, it says all of these things.
Yeah.
We have happily provided these furnishings specifically for this home. They have been delivered and assembled, and that price is included in this. So that you don't have to go through that process. Good luck, trying to find those items.
And today I will just admit, okay, this is going to be really embarrassing. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. I've lived in Reno. I moved from California to Reno, Nevada, like 3.5 years ago. Do you want to know how many times I've been into the grocery store? Once. And it was just 3 months ago. Because I'm one of those people that'll pay for the convenience of having other people do my shopping. which used
I
to be
love it.
something I really enjoyed. But you get to a point when you're so busy in your life that you will pay for those little luxuries. And for me right now, that's somebody shopping for my groceries. But in your market, that could be somebody buying an entire house full of luxury furniture. So just because you're not going to pay for it, don't be afraid to price it for somebody who will, because there
That's so
are
true.
people who will pay for it.
Well, typically people who have money, speaking of that luxury market, they don't have time.
Exactly. It all goes back to time. Like, I love going to the grocery store. I really do. It used to be, I would joke and be like, you could get in front of me, let as many people in front of me, because this is the only time I have to myself where I'm not thinking about anything and no one needs me. That was my joke. And now I don't even have the luxury of that. So I pay for it. But I mean, I'm only, this one little person, but imagine if you're dealing with like the VP of Clorox. How much time do you think they have on their hand to shop for a whole house full of furniture and know it's going to look just as good as it did when they bought it?
And how many people go and try to do it on their own and they buy 10 things and they return 7 of them and then they buy more and then they return it. And once they do it, they won't want to do it again. Right.
Nope.
So that's why I'm like that luxury level. These are experienced people. They've experienced life a little bit, right? They understand inconveniences. They understand costs, and they understand like that if they can make this easier on them and save them some time, that it's a service worth having.
So going back to like the difference between luxury market and your like everyday home, there's obviously a lot more pressures from you and your business to provide a certain level of service. So how have you upped your game in the last 10 years? We know you produce beautiful work since you're now an award-winning luxury stager, but what's the service level look like to match those beautiful photos?
I love the term that we are, yes, women. We are, you want that? Yes. Do we do that? Yes. Right? When someone says, can you do all of the dishes in the cupboards too? Yes, we can. There is an extra charge for that because it's not something we typically do, but yes, we can. So I've got veered off. Where was I headed with that? What were you asking me?
Asking how your services are changing with that luxury market, how it differs from how you have a regular home.
Yeah. So basically just catering to people, not being afraid to kind of do the extras, never saying, no, we don't do that. Just say, we don't typically do that, but we'd like to help you with that. Or we don't do that, but guess what? We have a wonderful person who does do that. I love recommending and referring other people. People, like if someone just says, do you guys do this? No, but I do know a company that does. Try this company. I just figure you have to be that level of service. The other thing that makes us able to do that luxury market and deal with that luxury client is technology. Showing people things that are on technology. All of our designers have an iPad with different programs and information on it. Our HoneyBook gives us a video type introduction so people don't have to read, right? So our HoneyBook is like, hey, this is us. This is what we do. Here's the things. Here's some pictures. We want to make it so simple and easy, but technology makes you look like you know what you're doing. It makes you look like you are not shopping out of your garage, even if you are.
And on that note of looking like you know what you were doing, I will say it looks to me like in the last few years, you've really invested in like branding, professional photos. So how does all of that, do you think, play into the way that your clients perceive you? Do you feel like it makes a difference when you have those professional, clean, crisp photos that match your staging?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I have a story of an interior designer who lives in my neighborhood who is wonderful. She does just wonderful, wonderful work. And every time I'm in a home that she's decorated, I just think it's wonderful. So I had a builder say to me at one time that they were working with her, but they've now switched over and are now working with us because we are way more professional. She would show up on job sites in her sweatpants because she's moving furniture and her hair in a messy bun, tied on the top of her hair and no makeup. And so everything is image based. I am not a fashionista. I am not. I am lucky. I don't even know how to wear makeup. Like honestly, like these are things that are not me, but I will even go on a Sunday to Costco with a little bit of a dress up. I'm not wearing my sweats unless I'm literally going out to exercise. So what he said was that basically, he's got clients, he's showing people through and she's there in her sweatpants and whatever. And I just thought,
with
that's
clients?
interesting. Like she's there decorating. They've got, people coming through. They've got investors that are happening, whatever. And I just thought he never said a word about her decorating because I know she was great. It was her level of professionalism. So it kind of stuck in my brain a little bit, that conversation. So basically, when it comes to professional photos, you don't want to look like your cousin, Sally took your photo in, a bathroom wall. I don't even know. Like, I just feel like you have to spend a little bit of money. People are paid to do jobs because they're good at them, right? When you hire a photographer, go to the RESACON convention and get it really, really cheap.
Right?
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You don't have to spend a lot.
Yeah.
You just have to work with professionals.
Or at least find like a college student or something, to your point. Don't just have your husband, your best friend take a photo of you in your kitchen or in your backyard, because you're selling yourself, just like the home that you're staging.
Well, and think about that. How many realtors take photos with realtors take a picture with their iPhone. It looks like it. The listing looks terrible. You would never do that for your own home. You want professional photos. You want to hire a professional who's spending a bit of money on you. So it's all relative.
Are you investing in photography for all of your projects, or do you have somebody on your team who's taking photos of, like, do you take them for every project with even your staff? Or I guess I should start there.
Never, ever do we take a before photo from a professional. That's always from our crappy cameras. You never want that, right?
Right.
So, however, I will say that we always ask our realtors, in fact, it's on our contract sometimes, even with our clients, that are we okay to use your professional photographer's photos so we can promote you and your house on our website? It doesn't cost us anything. So what we'll do on our website is we will ask whoever is listing the home, can we post photos and give a direct link to you should somebody be interested in that project? Yes, please. We're getting to use their photos with their permission. So have we used professional photographer for different projects? 100%. Yeah, absolutely. We love it. They're wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Right. They do get expensive though.
But it gets expensive. So we're certainly not doing it for every project. But amazing. The realtors' photos are pretty fantastic most of the time. And they are happy to let us use them as long as we give them a mention.
And I will say this year, especially, I started noticing it last year, but this year, the photos that won the awards, especially, you could tell that they were professionally photographed. And it used to be like, okay, the staging has to be really on point. Now, I think you can have really on point staging and just average photography, and you're not going to make it. I hate to say that, but it's gotten to a point, especially if you're going to want to win some awards, where you are going to need to invest in that professional photography for a better chance. Because we have the sold over list price club, for example. And there's probably 300 properties in there at the moment. And we have the option where you can upload before and after photos so RESA could feature you. And I always get an alert, go in, look at the photos, and then I'm nosy and I want to look at the listing. So I open up the listing, and I can't tell you how many times I'm like, why didn't you find a way to get these listing photos? These are the gold mine right here. What you submitted me, I mean, it's nice, but it's not professional. So I'm not going to use it on the RESA website, because there's so many people today that have those crisp, clean images. So if I was a stager today, I would definitely put some money aside and pick a couple projects a year, especially if you plan on entering those awards.
And you know which projects. You know which projects that are upcoming that should turn out really good. So if, for example, you've got a really, really nice house with some nice finishes coming up, that's where you might hire a professional for sure.
Definitely.
And then, of course, the same thing goes with, you may not always have the right before photo to go with that after. So take them after you're destaging. So when you're destaging, you know what angle those photos turned out best, and you can get those later. So just wait it out. Take them, try to get them. But then you also have an opportunity at destage to get those great befores as well.
And since you have so many awards and finalist awards under your belt, do you have a process at your company where you guys flag projects that are maybe going to be good entries? Or at the end of the year when we're doing that call, are you looking through everything? What's that look like?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So for years, we would spend days, hours, so many hours trying to find a good before and after. We have a great after, not the right before. Like, oh my goodness, it was awful. So now every single project that we do, we download those photos and we put them into RESA 2026, like what's coming up. And then they're not all going to make it at the end of the year. They're just our best right now. Well, we think this is a good one. We'll save that. And then at the end of the year, we just go through our little save storage and start filtering through to decide what we have, the best of that group of items that we've already pre-selected. So we're always thinking of those RESA awards.
That's so smart. And then you've got an entire collection of your best work. So when you go to update your lookbook, your website, you don't have to search. It's like, oh, cool. If they were good enough for the awards, they're obviously going to be good enough for my print material, for my website. So,
and your memory is only so good, right?
Gosh.
So you might remember this house being fantastic in your head, but then you go look at it and you're like, oh, the photos are crap, right?
Yeah.
And so, definitely kind of keep that process, keep that storage as you're going, and then it's so much easier. Agreed. We just used our RESA portfolio for updating our website. So,
Smart. Well, I am so excited that you were able to talk to me today and you shared so much knowledge that I think will be helpful for others who are in your position or looking to break into this industry. My whole goal with this podcast is to tell people's stories and to let others out there know they're not alone. There are other people that are out there grinding, doing this thing, and not all of our success stories have to look the same.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of this industry. You get to build the business that you want, and it looks like the business that you've built is a very beautiful business.
Oh, thank you. I love it. I eat, breathe, and sleep it. So yeah.
And it shows. And that's why she's won so many awards, people. So Tammy, I really appreciate you. And I cannot wait to see you in July. It'll be here, I'm sure, in a couple of months at RESACON.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well,
keep me updated with all your projects.
Pleasure. You bet. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I just love sharing. So thank you so much. And of course, it's my pleasure being here. And I can't wait to see you in person real soon.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.